We start tonight at 11 with breaking news.
This is a fluid scene. We have a lot of evidence of gunfire. There may have been as many as 4 or 5 guns involved.
Police in Providence investigating what they're calling a mass shooting. 9 people shot, 3 in serious condition. We first head to ABC 6 News reporter Olivia DeRocha, who has been on that scene all night, joining us live with the very latest. Olivia, what can you tell us right now?
Brooke, really a sad night out here tonight. Providence police confirming this was a mass shooting. 9 victims tonight in the hospital, at least 3 of those critically injured. Now, we'll give you another look at the scene right now. You can see it's still very active here. Police say they have a long night ahead of them as it's still very early on in this investigation. Now, Providence police say they were called to Carolina Ave just around 6:45 this evening. This is in the Washington Park area of Providence. Multiple callers were reporting several rounds of shots fired. Police also say they received multiple calls for vehicles leaving the scene, and 10 minutes later, many calls for victims showing up to Rhode Island Hospital. Providence police say 8 of the victims drove themselves to the hospital. The other victim was transported by EMS. Tonight, Providence Police Chief Clements speaking out to the community.
These are groups that we are familiar with. This is not random. It was targeted at that address, and as well there was return fire at the assailant vehicle from that address. Again, we have several guns. We have several shell casings. Very unfortunately, we have several victims.
Again, those 9 victims ranging from ages 19 to 25. There's no specific word tonight on any injuries other than 3 of those victims are critically injured. Now, we'll give you another live look at the scene. This has been very active tonight. Police say, again, they have a long night ahead of them as they continue this investigation. Now, stick with us for coverage throughout the night and on abc6news.com. We're live in Providence. Olivia DeRocha, ABC 6 News.
Olivia, thank you for that. As you just saw, there is still very much an active scene.
Mayor Lorza is now calling for calm in the city, but he says that he also wants to beef up patrols in that area where we saw the shooting tonight. He's also asking for lawmakers to take action and get some of those guns off the streets.
We have too many guns out there on the streets. There are several guns involved in this one incident. It's just too easy to access these guns. And we have to do something about that. The last piece is what's so frustrating with so many of these situations is oftentimes the victims know who's responsible. And we need the victims to step up, speak to the police, tell them who it is. Let the police, let us do our job.
We are on it tonight with team coverage from all angles. But first, let's get right out to ABC 6 News reporter Olivia DeRocha, who's been there all night long. Olivia, what can you tell us right now?
Brooke, we've moved closer to give you another look of the scene. You can see behind me, it's still very active, and can imagine it's going to be active here for hours as police continue this investigation. Now, again, police were called to the scene behind me just before 7. Again, 8 victims drove themselves to the hospital. The other victim was transported by EMS. Police want to assure the community tonight that this was targeted and it was not a random crime. There have been no arrests as of right now. Officials have not kept us updated yet on that. Now, officials saying, again, this mass shooting is the worst crime we've seen in years here in Providence. 9 victims tonight in the hospital, at least 3 of those in critical condition. Stick with us for continuing updates. We're live in Providence. Olivia DeRocha, ABC 6 News.
Family members of the victims in last night's mass shooting rallying outside Rhode Island Hospital tonight. They say they've been kept in the dark about how their loved ones are doing, saying it feels extremely unfair and stressful to not have any updates more than 24 hours later.
As uncles, mothers, fathers, it doesn't matter what the relation is. They're not releasing no information. And as human beings, you have a right as any kind of family to know if your relative is going to survive the night or not.
Family members we spoke to say change needs to happen to stop incidents like this from happening. They suggest increased activities like making more basketball courts and even creating job opportunities to keep kids away from guns.
Brooke, another sad night here in Providence, another night with more gun violence. We're learning just moments ago from police it was a 25-year-old male they found dead in this parking lot. Now, think about last night. Mayor Lorza was just pleading hours ago to the city to stop this gun violence, and now here we are again. This is the 8th homicide of the year here in Providence. Now, again, just 24 hours ago, about 3 miles away on Carolina Street, when 8 people were wounded last night in the city's largest shooting in years. Now, here on Pope Street, there is still limited information right now. We do know a 25-year-old adult male was shot to death. Police were called here about 2 hours ago around 9 o'clock. Police officers, residents, and Mayor Lorza here trying to figure out what led up to this deadly shooting. Now, it is still early on in this investigation, but investigators do not believe last night's event and tonight's are connected. We'll give you another look at the scene right now. Again, this is still very early on in this investigation. You can see it's a very heavy police presence here. Of course, we'll keep you updated with any more developments. Just stick with us online and on air. Now, Mayor Lorza also saying tonight there will be extra patrol in this area to make sure all of the neighbors feel safe. We're live in Providence. Olivia DeRocha, ABC 6 News.
Yeah, Brooke, the scene is now clear and police are back here after a chaotic day in a neighborhood where 2 people died, including a teenager.
It was like that. Scared me.
Sheila Pyers, standing outside her home, says she could hear the shooting around 4:30 in the afternoon. Police say they found a 29-year-old man and a 14-year-old boy shot on a sidewalk on 5th Street near Griffin Playground in Fall River. They were taken to the hospital and died. A third man shot in the leg drove himself to the hospital and is still alive.
I was going crazy. I was crying.
Pyers says after hearing the gunfire, she ran inside her home.
When I ran in the house, I made sure the baby's sleeping and the baby's on the bed.
Outside, emergency responders swarming into this neighborhood. Fall River Police Chief Jeff Cardoza.
I know officers were involved in some foot chases after.
Police didn't release too many details during their news conference, with the mayor of Fall River offering brief remarks.
It's a very, very sad day in the Corky Row neighborhood of Fall River. It makes no sense to say it's senseless because everything like this is, and we can do so much better in Fall River.
And as of this hour, the names of the suspects have not been released, and we also don't know the names of any of the victims.
The Bristol County District Attorney's Office says 14-year-old Miguel Sanjurjo and 29-year-old Jovan Antonio Mills, both of Fall River, were killed. A 19-year-old man was also injured. Tonight, family and friends gathering where the teenager's life tragically ended, remembering him as one of a kind.
How humble he is and how he put everybody before him. He cared about everybody, like whether he knew you or not. You know, if he was struggling, he was there to pick you up somehow, even though he was struggling. You know what I'm saying?
No arrests have been made. As for that third victim, the 19-year-old who has not been identified yet, he's expected to be okay.
And we are taking a look at that from earlier today. Again, here is the footage there. It is live footage right now, a live look. Coming up in just a few minutes here on ABC 6 News on 11 at 11, we are going to hear from our reporter, ABC 6 News reporter Darren Botello, who is live on that scene. But you could see smoke is coming through. It appears to be the roof of that home there with a heavy fire presence there. Again, we're going to have much more coming up in just a few minutes here on ABC 6 News at 11. You're taking a live look at what's happening now. The flames broke out about an hour ago, so at 10 o'clock, it's just after 11 right now, so it's been happening for over an hour. You see there are still a heavy fire presence outside of that law office. So far, we do have calls into the fire department and the police department to see if anyone was inside the building. We are still waiting to hear back. Again, we do have a reporter on scene to give you the latest information, both on air and online. We're going to continue again to update you, and we will have much more coming up on ABC 6 News with Good Morning Providence.
They found a heavy fire on College Hill Road in a building. Fire crews immediately called for more resources, battling heavy flames and working to contain the spread. The fire chief says there was no one inside the building at the time. One firefighter was taken to Kent Hospital with a minor injury to the lower back.
The rear of the building was a wall of fire. Flames were flowing through the roof. the building was fully involved. Heavy fire in the rear of the building, and the crews did a great job at containing it to the original building and preventing it from spreading to any of the exposure buildings.
Mayor Pagozzi was also at the scene. He says he was coincidentally on the phone with House Speaker Shekarchi when he got a text message from the fire department about the fire.
It's a bad fire. The building has a lot of damage. Part of it's collapsed. The roof is going down. We don't know what started it. They'll investigate that when it's safe to go inside.
Now, according to Shekarchi's office, he had just gotten home after a late legislative session at the State House, and he immediately rushed to the office complex here.
A witness calls emergency responders after spotting an overturned sailboat that took on water and sank near Patience Island around 3:30 this afternoon. The Marine Task Force and Coast Guard responding to the call.
And 2 victims have been recovered from it.
Those 2 victims, a man and woman in their 60s from Warwick who did not appear to be wearing life jackets. As of now, the relationship between the man and the woman is unclear.
Unfortunately, things like this happen early in the season. Check your boats before you put them in the water. Make sure they're structurally sound. Make sure they're ready to go. Make sure you're wearing life jackets. All your safety equipment's checked out.
As of tonight, the boat is still in the water after emergency responders recovered those 2 bodies, bringing them to shore at the Oakland Beach boat ramp. Investigators saying the cold water could be a factor in these 2 deaths.
It's too early to determine, but that is a factor in a lot of these cases. It's, 65 degrees out today. It seems very warm. The water's still 50 degrees.
As of tonight, it's unclear how the boat turned over or if there was any distress signal sent from anyone on board. In Warwick, Darren Botello, ABC 6 News.
Casey, it's a very different scene here than it was just a few hours ago. Earlier, this parking lot was filled with emergency vehicles. A lot of neighbors, of course, on edge tonight after hearing the news. You can even still see right here that delivery car is still in the parking lot. A food delivery man stabbed while delivering chicken wings Thursday night in Providence.
He came, knocked on my door, and he was on the ground, sitting on the ground, leaning against the wall with stab wounds.
Witnesses say the unknown suspect stabbed the delivery man in the stomach while in the elevator of the Charles Gate North Apartments on North Main Ave around 7:30. And only on ABC 6, we speak with the man who ordered the food and helped the victim.
I said, oh my goodness, really loud. And then I called, and I said, hold there, I'll call 911.
The customer says he first heard a knock on the door, then opened the door to the hallway, finding the delivery man bleeding profusely from his stomach, still holding the food.
He was bleeding, he was blood. The front door of my apartment is a crime scene right now.
The customer says help arrived immediately and brought the delivery man to the hospital. He adds in his 7 years of living in this building, he has never seen anything like this.
It's crazy.
Other residents in the building saying the same.
This is the first time I've ever seen it this bad.
I'm kind of scared.
Yep, I agree. Me too.
I am. I'm scared because it started in the elevator, I guess, and we have to go up and down the elevators every day, not knowing who we're in the elevators with.
Customer says with no known suspect in custody, he's preparing to take extra precautions to protect himself against random crimes like this. Of course, hoping the best for that delivery man tonight. Now, in the meantime, we've seen a lot of extra patrol out here. Now, we've also reached out to police for any extra information. We'll let you know once we hear any more. Tonight, we're live in Providence. Olivia DeRocha, ABC 6 News.
Hey, Brooke. Well, some disturbing information from Providence police today. They're calling the suspect a super predator. His name is Juan Martinez. He's 55 years old, and they say he's targeted undocumented women because they wouldn't go to police. Now, here's some more information that we know at this time. He's been charged with 2 counts, first-degree sexual assault, and 1 count, second-degree sexual assault. He was arraigned earlier today in district court. Police are saying he's responsible for 5 to 6 sexual assaults. Now, the first case being this past October, the last one being yesterday on Union Avenue.
One of his motives was to put out a card or an advertisement saying that he needed somebody, for cleaning. People would answer his ads.
Martinez was just released from prison after being in there for 20 years, about a year ago, and police are asking for more information about this case, so if you have any information, give them a call. Live in Providence, Darren Botello, ABC 6 News.
Police say they were called to the Cumberland Farms on Smith Street around 4 o'clock this afternoon for a fight. Police say the victim, a middle-aged man, was taken to Rhode Island Hospital with multiple stab wounds, where he later died. Officials say a suspect who has not been identified yet is in custody. Tonight, many saying they're on edge hearing this attack is believed to be random.
If they're two strangers, all you have to do is look at somebody the wrong way. Cut them off in line, not like the cut of their jib. It's pretty stressful now, you know, with people finally, they're starting to come out a little bit more now.
And the knife used in the stabbing was recovered by police inside the Cumberland Farms. The male suspect is being held tonight at the North Providence Police Headquarters. Of course, we'll keep you updated once we learn more.
Rescue crews in Providence called to a rollover on Admiral Street. This is footage from the scene just before 9:45. You can see it. There it is, vehicle on its roof. Not a whole lot of official information to go on right now, although a witness tells ABC 6 News 2 people were in that overturned vehicle, but they were not seriously hurt. Again, that was from a witness who told ABC 6 News what they saw. New tonight on 11 at 11, a car crash this evening in Providence. This is footage from the scene right on Atwells Avenue around 8:30. You can see the front of a white sedan smashed up against the side of a dark-colored SUV right in the middle of the road. Not a whole lot to go on officially from police right now, and no word yet if anyone was seriously injured. A woman stabbed tonight in front of a restaurant right on Acushnet Ave and Collette Street. It happened outside of the Crown Fried Chicken right around 8 o'clock. Not a whole lot to go on from police right now, including the extent of her injuries. Now, this is a developing story. ABC 6 will update you as soon as we get more information.
In Raynham tonight, one man seriously injured in an apartment fire. Fire crews there called to the building on Leonard Street just after 5 p.m. The 51-year-old tenant who put out most of the flames with a fire extinguisher before firefighters arrived ended up with a serious leg burn and was flown to Rhode Island Hospital for treatment. The cause of the fire is still under investigation.
New Bedford coming together tonight to remember Sergeant Michael Cassidy, who died last week of COVID-19. Our cameras were there as officers from all across southern New England came to pay their respects.
I knew Mike for a long time, and he was a great guy in every sense. I mean, he accomplished a lot in his life, right? He was on the force for about 27 years and was very well respected. He was a veteran of Operation Desert Storm, as a former Marine, and I don't know too many former Marines who also taught Zumba classes. It was just an unusual guy like that, but somebody that everybody liked and everybody respected, and so I'm going to miss him a lot, and so will everybody else.
We also want to let you know if you're going to be in New Bedford tomorrow, several streets in the city will be blocked off from 6 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon for Sergeant Cassidy's funeral procession.
Dozens of people were on Oxford Street tonight to pay respects to Tatiana Francois, who was killed in a drive-by shooting on Japonica Street Sunday night. Members of Francois' family and community leaders speaking tonight, calling for change within the community.
Everything that I've heard about Tatiana, and I've never met her in person, but I feel like I've known her. I feel like I've met her. What a beautiful young lady.
Regardless of what city these acts of violence occur in, it impacts all of us.
And tonight's vigil sponsored by the Rhode Island Nonviolence Institute and Moms Demand Action.
Just like John and Brooke said, this is a huge step in the right direction, especially as this comes just before Mother's Day and graduation season. Now it's also one step closer to Memorial Day weekend, when capacity will reach 100% indoors, which will be for the first time since March of 2020.
Really happy.
Dino DeFonte, the general manager of Trattoria Zuma in Federal Hill, says the move for indoor dining capacity to reach 80% beginning Friday is an encouraging start to a notoriously busy weekend.
It's really nice to see that we were able to reach this type of safety. So I'm glad for the customers. I'm glad for Rhode Islanders.
Statewide, masks will still be required indoors, and bar areas will only be for seated service only. Many restaurants like Trattoria Zuma say they're confident with the cautious approach to reopening.
I'm glad to see changes going forward, but I'm happy in a way that we went through what we did to make sure everybody was safe.
And now again, looking ahead, Governor McKee says it will be 100% capacity indoors by Memorial Day weekend. We have all that information you need to know, plus more on our website. Just head to abc6.com. Live in Providence, Olivia DeRocha, ABC6 News. Rhode Island making history on Sunday after Sabina Matos is publicly inaugurated as the state's 70th lieutenant governor.
I do.
Matos is the first woman and Afro-Latina to be sworn into this position here in the Ocean State.
I feel great about it, but at the same time, I feel the weight of the challenges that come into ahead.
Matos says it was 27 years ago today. She started a job at a factory in New York after only living in the United States for 3 days.
My family story and the story of so many of you here in the audience today is the America story.
You heard her at the microphone today, telling everybody how she came to the country, what it meant to her, and so yeah, that's our story. And so it's great that the Rhode Island can see that everybody is included in this effort to make Rhode Island this great place that we want to live in. And Sabina is going to be a great team partner with me to make that happen.
It's definitely good support for small businesses.
It'll definitely generate more business.
Rhode Islanders showing support for Governor McKee's plan to soon start handing out thousands of gift cards to small businesses across the state.
40,000, 50,000, and 100,000 $25 gift cards that we would be strategically passing out throughout the all 39 cities and towns in a way that really reopened our small businesses and supported that reopening.
Governor McKee announced during a news conference with Lieutenant Governor Sabina Matos that the gift cards could start going out by next month. McKee says his administration is also considering handing out gift cards or maybe even alcoholic beverages to encourage more Rhode Islanders to get the COVID-19 vaccine.
There's some creative ideas out there. I think one was, get a shot, get a beer, I think. So I think it's important to make sure that we're keeping front and center on that issue.
But some Rhode Islanders tell ABC6 News the issue of vaccinations should be kept separate from recreation.
For me, it would just be like totally a health decision, So I really wouldn't try to confuse like little luxuries of life with the health aspect of it.
If I got a shot or got a beer, it would influence me to think about getting it, but it wouldn't sway me to actually get it.
In Providence, Darren Botello, ABC 6 News.
Fresco dining now back in action on Federal Hill. It was definitely a hit. It started last year. Restaurants setting up tables and chairs along Atwell's Ave so they could stay open when the pandemic prevented businesses from seating people outside. Well, so many people love that they're doing it again this year. And we were out on the Hill tonight, and on the heels of Rhode Island announcing it's doing away with masks for fully vaccinated residents, restaurant officials, as you can imagine, are thrilled.
It is huge, and people are ready. Looking at what we have tonight, the reservations after 7 o'clock tonight are through the roof. Tomorrow through the roof. Mother's Day that just happened this past week, it exceeded the reservations from 2 years ago in 2019. The public is ready.
The city of Providence will shut down a portion of Atwell's Ave every Friday and Saturday night from 5 to 11 until at least October. Mayor Lorza hoping to make this an annual tradition for the city.
All right, Tim, thank you for that. Well, a special edition of Good Night Lights happening tonight. The light show put on not only to wish a good night and sweet dreams to patients at Hasbro Children's Hospital, but to also honor Blake Costa, a young boy from East Providence who recently passed away from brain cancer. A caravan of police cruisers, fire trucks, and cars making its way down I-95 tonight through East Providence to honor the young boy. We spoke to his parents, who are grateful for the show of support.
The love and support means everything.
Blake loved Good Night Lights. It was something we always used to do at the hospital when he was there. It's something we want to just do something in his memory, something that he loved to do, but also give back to the hospital and to show the kids out there that, people are out here looking out for them and want to say good night.
That's really great. Today marks the 1-year anniversary of Blake's passing. New tonight on 11 at 11. Our cameras were there as a Free Palestine rally took place earlier in Burnside Park in Providence. Demonstrators we spoke to calling for the end of oppression to the Palestinian people after more than a week of deadly conflicts, leaving hundreds dead.
We want to see an end to the financial support of apartheid. We want to see the end of oppression, and we want to see that Palestinians also have a right to exist as well, just as much as Israelis do.
And on Thursday, Israel and Hamas, the Palestinian militant group, agreed to a ceasefire.
We hit the streets talking to residents about their thoughts on the new change in mask guidance. Opinions definitely split down the middle, as you can imagine. Some think it's about time, and others think it's a little too early to no longer require people to mask up.
I feel like it's way too soon. Way too soon. I don't think there's enough people who are vaccinated for this to feel like a safe decision.
I mean, it's obviously exciting that we have this like new phase and it's kind of like a new beginning, etc. And everyone's tired of this, but I think there's definitely like the cautious optimism.
It's nice to have it off because it's hard to go to the gym or do stuff if you have to pull it off, sweat, put it back on.
And we reached out to the Department of Health to find out if Rhode Island is going to follow the new national guidance. So far, we haven't heard back, but of course, we'll keep you updated.